Hi, I'm Tina and I'm addicted to books. This is the scale of my problem. I currently have about 700 books in my to-read pile, but I just can't help myself. I have to go to charity shops and car boot sales and find those bargains. So now I'm reselling them in order to make a little bit of money to put in the fund for more books. In the last few years, I've been getting up early on a Sunday morning to walk around a field looking for book bargains and other things to resell. Oh, and wool, of course, because I'm also addicted to crochet. Although it's really annoying that it's extremely difficult to crochet and read at the same time. But let me give you a bit of background about me and my reading journey. My mum and my nan encouraged me to read as a very young child. We used to go to jumble sales to find book bargains. I must have had hundreds of those Ladybird books. We also used to pick up jigsaw puzzles, often with pieces missing and even the whole box missing sometimes. I think my mum used to like to give me a challenge to keep me quiet when my head wasn't in a book. From the Ladybird books, my favourites being Aesop's Fables, The Magic Porridge Pot and Snow White and Rose Red, I moved on to other children's books like Winnie the Pooh. I also loved poetry like Robert Louis Stevenson's A Child Garden of Verses, and my nan gave me some of her old poetry books. These ancient tomes gave very scary tales about girls who played with matches and boys who wouldn't eat their soup. It's a wonder I managed to get any sleep at all thinking back on it. I joined the library very young, encouraged by my grandfather, who had been a member since our local one opened and had read nearly everything in it. His reading habits, he would try anything, inspired me, and I would get lots of different genres out the library. I think it was 4 books a week back then, and I would also read a book in the library sometimes, like the Judy Blume books that I was too much of a tomboy to admit to reading. Early on, though, I discovered fantasy in the form of The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe and the others in that series. And then came the dragons. I devoured anything with dragons in, by wonderful authors like Anne McCaffrey, Ursula Le Guin, Terry Brooks, Tad Williams and Raymond Feast, and others like them. I soon discovered the fighting fantasy books, which led me on to Dungeons and Dragons, and I loved the Dragonlance Chronicles too. As a teenager, I read more fantasy by the likes of Tolkien, Marion Zimmer Bradley and Stephen Lawhead, mixing it up a bit with some comedy by Terry Pratchett and Douglas Adams, which opened my eyes further to science fiction. In my 20s, my reading dipped a bit as I got my hands on a computer and Ultima Underworld. I loved that game and have been playing role-playing games and adventure games ever since. In fact, I might put a short video together in the future about books that inspired computer games and vice versa. But also in my 20s, I devoured books by Ian Banks, both his contemporary fiction and sci-fi, Julian May, Dion Fortune and M. Scott Peck, and more poetry by the likes of Christina Rossetti and Marion Rilke, to name just a few. Reading is my first true love, though. It got me through the dark days of illness by transporting me to other worlds. I just wish I'd kept a book journal back then. Nowadays, it's so much easier to keep a record of your books. There are lots of apps and websites to help you catalogue, make notes, log your reading times, and write and read reviews. Personally, I use LibraryThing, Bookmori, and Listy. I use LibraryThing to catalogue all the books in my life. The mobile app allows you to input books by scanning the barcode, and you can add a photo of your book cover if you don't like any of the available ones. Editing the book is easier on the website though. You can have as many shelves called collections as you like, tag to your heart's content, add read dates, publisher info, as much or as little as you want. It also has a great community of book lovers. I love to have a digital representation of the physical books I've read. The only downside to this app is that it doesn't have an offline mode, which is one of the reasons I also use Bookmori. This app is more of a reading tracker. You can time your reading and make notes as you read. Again, it's easy to input books by scanning the barcode or entering the ISBN, and you can change the book cover really easily too. As it works offline, it's great to check if you have a book when you're out in a car boot field with no mobile signal. Bookmori has helped me to make a more regular habit of my reading and really tackle that TBR pile. Listy also works offline and is a great way to make a note of specific books that I want to find, like ones that I'm missing from a series. What reading tracker apps or websites do you use? Have you set yourself a book reading target this year? Mine is 50 books, although I've been reading quite a few children's books lately to clear the pile, so I think I might get to that number pretty quick. Last year I read 44 books, up from 31 the year before and 34 the year before that. In 37 in 2020 and about 22 on average in the years prior to that. But having got addicted to finding book bargains, I really need to up my game so that I can keep some room in my house for other things, like my husband. I mostly read in the evening, a habit from when I didn't have a telly, but if the weather is nice, I like to sit in the garden and read. Although I can get distracted by weeding. I grow a lot of fruit and veg in a small cottage-style garden, and I listen to audiobooks when I'm doing the hard work. When I moved to Wales, I rationalised my book collection by rereading them and selling off the ones I felt I would not read again. I was surprised how easy it was to sell them on eBay, especially as sets, and for a reasonable amount. So when I started going to car boot sales, picking up books I liked the look of to read, and they started piling up again, I decided I need to be more pragmatic about it. After all, there are so many great books out there, I should sell them once I've read them. Also, something I've really found hard in the past is giving up on books. If I started a book, I had to finish it. This sometimes put me off reading because I lost the motivation for it. Now, with a seemingly endless source of new books, I've told myself that if I'm not enjoying it, I can sell it and move on. So a big part of this channel will be the buying, bargains and selling on eBay of books along with reviews. I've also started picking up books for resale alone, ones that I've read before so I know will sell well, sets that are new and sealed, hardbacks in excellent condition and even signed books if I'm lucky. I hope to release one video a week to start with. For a bit of fun, I'm going to keep a running total of the book fund, taking off the cost of new finds and adding in the profits from sales. It will be interesting to see if I can make my book obsession self-funding or even turn a small profit. Looking at the pile of books I currently have, I guess it's a minus figure, but maybe not. I'll have to do a roundup video of some of my previous successes to see if it evens out yet. The main reason for me to start this channel is to keep me motivated with reading, so that I can get these books listed and sold on a regular basis and not feel so guilty when I pick up more bargains. I'm also excited about the editing process. It's been a steep learning curve, but really fun so far. I'm enjoying thinking of ways to make my videos visually interesting without my ugly mug being on screen. The most difficult part of the process for me is talking out loud, as you can probably tell from my nervous, unnatural voice. Hopefully that will get better with practice. Anyway, I think that this is probably enough about me for now. If you think what I'm doing is going to be of interest to you, please subscribe to the channel, and I think you'll get notified when a new video releases. If you have any questions or comments or constructive criticism, drop them below and I'll check them out. I'm already in the process of making the next video, so that should be with you soon, hopefully. Right, I'm off to read a book.